Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Keith Jardine to defeat Vanderlei Silva. And I'm here to talk about Aliaskhab Khizriev versus Makhmud Muradov. Since I'm forced to give you a prediction at the top of the video, seeing as you've got a gun in your hand right now, I will go with Aliaskhab Khizriev. Round 2 rear naked choke, if not decision. But I definitely think if he wins, it's his grappling that gets it done. And despite me thinking he's going to win, I can't bet on him even at minus 190 because I just haven't seen him in a competitive fight with a good fighter. He hasn't fought such great competition at all. His best win is over Huzamar Palhares. That's if you want to get all John Anik about it, but Ruzamar Palhares is what you might call him. And Ruzamar, while a very solid UFC contender 10 years ago, he had since fallen off a cliff. And by the time he met Khizriev, he was a shell of himself. He laced up a leg, and Khizriev just pounded on him and knocked him unconscious, actually, on the ground. And that was within a minute. Speaking of which, he got his Dana White Contender Series win within a minute, too. A rear naked choke over the guy with the name. Forget it. It's some sort of name, though. That's the kind of analysis you get from MMA Al Dente. But anyway, all of his submission wins, Khizriev, are rear naked chokes. Every one of them's in round 1, aside from his win over Dennis Tiuliulin, as I like to call him. That was in round 2. That was his UFC debut. But he's a beast. The guy wants to take the fight to the ground. I haven't seen all of his TKOs, but I'm assuming a good portion of them come on the ground because that's where he is at his best. But I did see a few TKOs, and he actually got some of them on the feet. One of them, he bodied a guy, a body shot. Another guy, he knocked out with a straight punch, I think. He's definitely no slouch on the feet, and he's very aggressive. He's got that Nurmagomedov thing going on. But generally speaking, he's a seek and destroy fighter. He wants to get you to the ground. And here, assuming he's able to do so, I would think he's going to be able to win this fight, whether it's by control or by submission. Because Makhmud Muradov, historically, that's been his weakness. He has a much longer resume, and he's got 8 losses, 1 via TKO, 4 via submission, 3 via decision. The TKO was many years ago. It was a clavicle injury. I actually saw that. I didn't see the rematch, but he TKO'd the guy in their rematch sometime later. But the point is, he's never been knocked out. His submission losses, he's got 4 of them. He has been submitted, obviously, but 3 of those submission losses come, I think, over 10 years ago. All 3 of them. The only guy to submit him in the last 10 years was Gerald Meerschaert a year or 2 ago. Gerald Meerschaert took his best punches, started getting through on him, and then got him to the ground. At the end of round 1, sucked some of the life out of him. And then in round 2, he had no life left, and Gerald got the rear naked choke. But that's the only time he's been finished, and Gerald Meerschaert is an exceptional submission artist. So it stands to reason that his submission defense has gotten better. But overall, he's lost 2 fights recently, the Gerald Meerschaert rear naked choke and the Caio Borralho decision. And grappling was how he lost both fights. Now, Caio didn't dominate him. He actually got him down, and Makhmud Muradov was sweeping him, reversing position a few times, and made it a competitive fight. But still, grappling is what cost him there. And I would think if Khizriev gets on top of him, again, whether he mulls his way to a submission or just controls him, I think he can definitely have success on top of Muradov. On the feet, I think Muradov's got a lot more to trust. He's got 17 knockout wins in his 26 wins. We've seen him get knockouts deep into the fight. Trevor Smith, Andrew Sanchez knocked these guys out in round 3. He also got a bunch of other knockouts in round 3, or a few others anyway, beforehand. I was able to see a few of them. He's definitely dangerous down the stretch. I don't know their fucking names. But either way, trust me. Makhmud Muradov is a problem on the feet. His last fight was against Brian Barberena. It's not even really worth mentioning because Barberena is the opposite of this guy Khizriev. But still, Muradov looked good. And his wins before that were the round 3 knockouts that I just mentioned. I think on the feet, he gives a lot of trouble to Khizriev, but Khizriev is going to be pressuring him. So I expect Muradov to be on the back foot a lot whenever they are on the feet. And it's going to be a matter of meeting Khizriev as he's shooting, or cutting away, cutting angles, and protecting himself, putting himself in a position to sprawl on Khizriev. It can be done. Muradov's a good, comfortable, deceptively well-rounded fighter, but there's too much upside with Khizriev. Khizriev, until I see him stutter, let alone lose, I'm not going to pick against him. So Khizriev is the pick. Like I said, I'll go with a submission in round 2, but a decision wouldn't surprise me. And Muradov, even though I feel like there's value on him at plus 160, but too many unknowns and whatever where I can't play that. If it was closer to plus 250, like Viviani Araujo or something, I would be playing him. But here, staying away from this and just hoping I get to find out more about Aliaskhab Khizriev in this fight. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.